increase. Let me do one last one about supply, and in this video we're going to look at the change in supply versus the change in quantity supplied. Okay, I'm going to look at what's the difference between these two ideas. We did the same thing for demand, and this is a very important distinction. Okay, so be careful. I will take this as a, we're going to kind of take this as a warning video. Okay, it's a kind of a simple seeming concept that is often confused. All right, so we have here our supply curve, and we have two things that could happen, two kind of movements that could happen. So the first one, let's suppose we start at some point A. One thing that could happen is they could move to some point B. Now, okay, so this movement from A to B is this is called a change in quantity supplied. So this is a change in quantity supplied. Sometimes we just write it short as a delta QS, which is also means change in quantity supplied. And this is along the supply curve, and this is only because of a change in the price. In this case, an increase in the price, in its own price. So the price of the own good, not something else. Okay, and so this again is called a change in quantity supply. It's very important to get that clear. The other kind of change we could see, and for this we'll draw a new line. We could see a change from this point A to some point over here, maybe C. Okay, and so this movement from A to C is different. Now you can see it's obviously different. The key point is remember what they're called. Okay, so this one you can call it one of two things. You can call it well, it's a change in supply. You can really just call it one thing, but in this case it's a change in supply, but it's also more specifically it's an increase in supply. And this is a shift of the curve. It's a shift of the entire curve, and finally it's caused by something else, by something other than price. And some of the examples we had here that were other than price were things like we had things like inputs, tech, weather, etc. Okay, so these are two clear differences. Make sure you can get them different. So whenever you can distinguish them. So whenever we have change in quantity supplied, we're talking about this movement from A to B caused by the price changing. And when we have a change in supply or an increase in supply, for example, then we're talking about this movement from A to C, and it's caused by something else. It's not caused by price. And one of the things, I kind of drew it poorly, but one of the things you should notice, from A to C, we're saying, well, even if the price didn't change, they still want to buy more, or they change the amount they want to buy. That's called a change in supply. It's a fundamental change. That's why I call it change in supply. It's not just you move a little bit up this way or a little bit down that way because of getting more expensive or cheaper. I mean, it's a complete change in their willingness to supply the good.